Alrighty, today we are going to be building ourselves a aggressive and race-looking Cayenne. People often ask me the question, how do I get my Cayenne to look like a turbo GT or a turbo or even a GTS without having to spend that sort of money? Well, I mean, you're always going to spend a lot of money on your Cayennes and Porsche, but I think we can get there for, call it 20%, 25% more money than the base price. We can get you a Porsche that looks aggressive, it looks like a race car, and I think it's one that you can be very proud of. Let's start configuring. We're going to take the Cayenne S today, and we're going to see how aggressive we can make it look for a buyer who wants something very sporty, very aggressive, but just doesn't have the money for the Turbo GT. Alrighty, so for me, the most aggressive looking Porsches are almost always the high gloss black on the matte black look. And I think for the Cayenne in particular, if we're going to try and get it to look as close to the GT as possible, I think we've got to go with that combination. So we're going to hook up some black paint on. It's a no charge extra. And you'll see already in this image that we've got the matte black pieces in it with the high gloss around as well. Makes it look fantastically aggressive. All right, we bounce down to the wheels here. We're going to pick on one of my favorite wheels again for this, but this time we can pick it with a satin gloss on it. That's really a matte black paint on the mag wheel. This will give us this sort of look to the vehicle. Much more aggressive, quite sporty, that sort of murdered out kind of look that we're giving it with these black wheels. Fantastic. Interior again, you've got a couple of options. I think that if you really want to stay traditional, you stick to the black leather throughout. It just depends on what you're feeling like. We could, if you wanted to do the two-tone with the black and the white. I think if we're going to stay within a reasonable budget, especially on something like the Cayenne S, I think we should stick to the black leather throughout with the zero cost option on that. We might have to touch a few extra things up, but let's go from there. I would put in the 18-way sport seats. I know they're expensive, but they really do give the car a much better internal and, oddly enough, external aesthetic, as you'll see here. If we go to the outside of the vehicle with those integrated headrests, it becomes far, far more sporty. It's very similar to those in the Turbo GT. Putting in the heating and ventilation on the seats is now going to be totally up to your budget. We're building a Cayenne S here. We don't want to go too crazy on that. Jumping onto the exterior package, we don't want to put any high gloss on here. We want to stick to the matte black to give us that contrast. And I think let's have a look here on the side of the vehicle. We're going to get rid of this silver here. We're going to put in the black surrounds on here. We've got the option of putting stainless steel in on the front and the rear of the vehicle. I don't know. I don't think so. You don't find that on any of the others, but personal choice. You might say, well, a little bit of touch of the chrome here could be quite nice. I'll leave it up to you. The door mirrors, again, this is going to be a personal choice. I don't particularly like the matte black at the bottom of the mirrors, as you can see over here. But because we're pulling the matte black through on a couple of spots, it might be worth leaving at this point in time. If you really don't like it, put the 13,000 in and get the high gloss black. Don't need to change the door handles on this particular occasion. You've got the matte black in the rear window. I would leave it on this occasion because it's pulling through to the matte black elsewhere, so you don't have to change that out either. Up to you again. If you've got the cash, put the panoramic sunroof in. It really is worth it in a vehicle of this value. I think it looks absolutely fantastic. As you could see there, it's worth spending the money on. We're going to have to fix up the rear of this car. We've got all of this chrome and we're getting rid of the chrome. So we're going to put in our high gloss black lettering over here and over here to pull through our very sort of gangster sporty kind of look. If you want, you can also put in some black lettering on the door on the side here. This black is a different color black to the black of the vehicle, so it will stand out. It'll be very subtle, but if you get close to the vehicle, you will be able to see that. It's $6,000 for a few stickers. If you're buying a Cayenne, it's unlikely you'll want it. But if you just want the badge and the model on the side, go for it over there. This, again, is a budget choice, but a priority choice as well. The HD Matrix headlights are incredible. They are a massive step up on the Matrix. I personally would spend the extra money from a safety perspective and put them in. Given the fact that we're going for the full blacked out thing, you're going to end up spending an extra 11 grand to get the tinted version. It basically just gets rid of the chrome pieces, which is what we want in this one. LED lights at the rear. We don't want that red stripe across the back if we could avoid it with this model. So I would get the tinted in here and just get rid of all the red that we can on the back of this vehicle. All right, on the interior, not much more to do. We've got black on black in here, so we don't have any stitching that we have to pull through anyway, as you can see. So we can leave it as it is. We're not doing two-tone on the interior. We are trying to keep the cost down in this. I think, again, For me, the leather interior is always the best, but it's an extra 45,000 Rand if you want it. So I would say probably stay away in the Cayenne S on this. You can decide which other interior you like, whether it's the silver shades, whether it's the carbon interior, whatever it is that you're wanting to put in, you can go for it. Accent packs, again, I prefer to have the silver through in the vehicle with the silver shade. It just gives you these nice little accents. If you look on the vehicle, these nice little accents under the door handles and just a few more spots around the vehicle just to make it a little bit more dynamic inside there. Otherwise, it's just all plain black. If you look, it's a 13 grand option. You're going to have to ask yourself what kind of interior you want for your vehicle. It's the same as putting in the leather plush handles. Because we're not going to be doing any stitching in here, I wouldn't go for this option if you're trying to save some money, if you're working on a tighter budget. Seatbelts are not going to need to do. Crests on the headrests. It's a nice option that, budget. Okay. I think if we go for a Cayenne S, we leave it as is. Your seat consoles in leather. I personally hate the plastic consoles. They really detract from such a valuable car. So I personally would put in the leather on the front and the rear leather consoles, or at least on the front, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to put black on black stitching, at least on the front. In the rear, there's less plastic in those rear seats that's going to stick out. You can't quite see it in this image, but it's these pieces down here that are plastic on each side. Those would be leathered up, and this internal piece would be leathered up. Probably not worth it if you're on a budget, but I really don't like the plastic around these seats if you leave them uncovered. A steering wheel, I think that we're good. Steering wheel, shift paddles, including the steering wheel heating. It's an extra 6 grand, probably not worth it in an S. If you're spending any more money on a GTS, so that definitely get the heated steering wheel. It's fantastic in winter, totally worth it. And then these again are things where you're going to have to talk to your own budget. You want to put the brand on the center console. It's a big armrest. It's big and black. The print they put on here is quite bold. It looks fantastic. Is it worth 8,000 Rand? You will have to decide. I think we're going to put in the black illuminated. We'll spend the cash and change out the silver plates that are going to be in here. It is going to be a silver plate like this, and that's not pulling through to our design on today's build. I'm going to leave the brake calipers in on this particular occasion. I think that as I'm often change out the reds and I often change out the yellows, but when you're going for a black like that, the red is going to look magnificent. So we're going to leave the red in on that. We can leave the colored badges in on this particular occasion. The rest again are little touches you could choose on a Cayenne S. We're not picking out the stuff I normally go for because, well, it's very expensive. We're trying to keep our budget in a reasonable position. Lane change assist for me is a standard safety feature. You want that in. You want to know who's in your blind spots. 4-zone climate control, it really does change the aesthetic of the interior of the car. Again, it's a personal choice of mine. I really like it. I don't like having the open boxes at the back, but it is a 20,000 Rand option. Yeah. You're going to have to decide for yourself where you're at with all of that. Infotainment, I would suggest putting the Bose sound system in. The standard one is very flat. The Bose and the Burmeister are both great. The difference between those, I think audiophiles would be able to tell you better than me, but I would definitely upgrade to the Bose in the vehicle to have at least a reasonable sound system. Okay, so how have we done? 2.9 million. It's a lot, I know. And we put about R500,000 worth of extra options into your Cayenne S. So let's say we added about 20 to 25% to the value of the vehicle, a little bit less. Call it 20%. We've added 20% more to the value of the vehicle in options, and we have built for ourselves an absolutely splendid vehicle. I think one that looks mean, it looks aggressive. I think it'll be hard to tell whether it's a GTS or whether it's an S, and I think we might well have ticked all the boxes. Yeah, you can see the black gloss on matte works well. Those mag wheels are aggressive and fantastic with the satin black on it. So it's almost a matte black mag wheel with the red caliper in it, pulling through to the rear reflectors, but just giving the black some contrast. Absolutely love it. You've got all of your amenities and features in this vehicle as well. You've lost nothing, and you've got this really beautiful and aggressive Cayenne S. Interior is nice, black, very practical interior, not going to get dirty. Easy for everybody to use regularly, and still got that luxurious Porsche feel about it. Alrighty, so there you go. There's a nice aggressive Porsche Cayenne S build for you. Looks super sporty. Hard to tell whether it's a turbo GTS or S with what we've done to it. So really great. And of course, if you need me to help you with any of your specifications for your Porsches, you know where to go. Jump onto my website, myperfectcar.co.za, book an appointment with me, and I'll give you a hand in building whatever Porsche it is you are building.